Hey, Blender Bob here. Today was supposed to be a very simple Blender Bob. I would show you how to assemble images back together from the diffuse, the specular, the emission, the transmission, and all this stuff. Something very useful, and some tricks and everything. Now, in order to reconstruct the image, well, you need to see what the original looks like, right? Which was done in Filmic. So I need to reproduce the Filmic look into the software I'm going to use for compositing, right? Because we know that when we save images in EXR, it doesn't save the LUT or the transform, the color transform for Filmic. So you get like the same thing as if you were in standard. All right, so I tried in Resolve. Yeah, Resolve, because a lot of people ask me, oh, Resolve. Fusion, you guys want Fusion? Well, I cannot show you Fusion because I don't know Fusion, but during my research, I found a way to show Filmic in Fusion, so might as well show it to you. All right, so let's start with this. Let's start with Fusion. Okay, now we need to match the EXR and the PNG because we can see they are very different. The PNG has the Filmic look in it. So in Fusion, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add here, if you go in color, you get a color space, and I'm going to move this here. You need to press shift to snap it in the middle. I don't know why, but that's the way they work. Then you browse and you need to get Blender's color management files. On Windows, you will find it in the Blender directory. It's a little bit more complicated on the Mac. And that's because it's inside the software. So you need to open the application folder and you go show package content. And in there, you will see at one place, you'll see resources. And if you go down 3.0 data files, and you will have your color management here. So just copy this folder somewhere else, like on your desktop or whatever, any place you can read it. Okay, so I made a copy on the desktop, so I can open this and just select the first one, config OCIO. So what is the source of this image? It's a linear image. And what do we want out? We want Filmic sRGB. Look, doesn't do anything. And now if I go back to the grading section, you can see that they are identical, but are they? No, they're not. Look at the highlights here. This is very soft and this is clipped. Why? I don't know. I'm not a Fusion guy. Tell me in the comments. Okay, so we're using the Blender config files the way we're supposed to do it, and it doesn't work properly because the highlights, that was the washer that was done. The highlights are not good. So let's try something else. Let's try in Natron, because you know what? Something cool about Natron. Filmic is built-in Natron. Yeah, you don't need any config files. No, it's built in. So let's try in Natron, right? I got my two images here. On the left, I got the PNG, and on the right, I got the EXR. And you can see the EXR doesn't look the same at all. And you had a config here. I could select here the same folder I had before I did in Resolve, but I don't need it because in Natron, it's built in. Filmic is built in. So file color space is linear. Display, we want Filmic here. And pa-da-da, it doesn't look the same at all. Why is that? Now I sound like an idiot because I'm giving you a second demo and it doesn't work as we want it. So I put a grade node under it, and this is the closest I could get. So if you put the lift at 0.038 and you put the gamma at 0.43, well, I think I got a perfect match. It looks exactly the same, even in the highlights everywhere. So that's the recipe. I mean, it's not a big deal, just add a grade node, you just need to remember the formula. I did try with the Blender color management folder, like in Resolve, but I got the exact same result. So it's the same config files. Okay, so it's built in, but it doesn't work. I needed to add a grade node and do some tweaking to get it to work. I got a perfect match for this image. Is it gonna work for any images? I don't know. The point is, it should work out of the box. I should just go Filmic, it looks like Filmic. But it didn't. All right, we're going to try with the flagship of the compositing software, the USS Enterprise of the compositing, Nuke, the multi-$1,000 software. Let's do it in Nuke. As I mentioned previously in other clips, the first thing you need to do when you're Nuke is to shuffle an image that comes from Blender so we can see something. So we want the view layer combined. And we can see the EXR is quite different from the PNG. There are some OCIO nodes in Nuke, so maybe I can try the color management thing I did in Resolve. Never been able to make it work.
Plan B.
So in Natron, when we put the color space, well, actually it's a lot, we reduce the values of the white to 1. In this one, in the original, you can see the values, they go very high, 15, and I saw some 20, so 27. They can go very high, so we need to reduce them to something that's manageable. So I'm going to do a soft clip. I've shown this, I think, in the first clip. So I'm going to go into logarithmic here, put this down to 0, and now I'm getting closer, but not completely there. So maybe I can grade it like I did in Natron, right? So I'm going to try some stuff. Oh, by the way, take a look at the wipe tool in Natron and Nuke. It's very cool because you can do it in any angle you want. You're not limited to horizontal or vertical. And you can also play with the opacity here. Woo! Okay, so what did I do for color balance to try to match this? Well, I did a lot of stuff. Hey, I just realized that when I'm doing tutorials, I always ask myself a question and then I answer it like, how are we gonna do this? This is how. Maybe I should stop that. Should I? Well, you see, I just asked myself a question again. Okay, so I won't go into all the details of what I did. I did a color lookup, I did a grade, I did a color correction, and it's not perfect, but it's very, very close. Well, close enough. Anyway, for this image, doesn't mean it's gonna work on every images, but that's the best I could do. Unfortunately, I couldn't get Filmic to work in Nuke. I'm gonna put these files on my Dropbox, so if you want to play with them, if you find a better solution, please tell me. So no, I couldn't get Filmic to work in Nuke. And before, in the first episode, I showed you there was a link for how to use Filmic in Nuke. Well, the link is gone. The page doesn't exist anymore. So I went to webarchive.org, something like this, and I found an archive of this page. I mean, who can archive the internet? Somebody archived the internet. Anyways, the point is that I found the page, I followed the instructions, but looks like it was kind of old because it doesn't match the current Nuke system that we have. And anyway, even if I followed all the instructions, it didn't work. And also to do this, you need to configure your entire Blender to be in Filmic. Oops, I meant you need to configure the entire Nuke in Filmic, which is something you don't want because I don't want my plate to be in Filmic. I want my plate to be in sRGB or in ACES or whatever format it is. So I get the same problem as in Blender, where if in Blender you are in Filmic, everything becomes in Filmic, even the plate. So still have a problem. What is the problem actually? The problem is Filmic itself. It's very nice. It does, beautiful images, beautiful pictures. I love Filmic. Filmic is great. The problem is that it only works with Blender. Outside Blender, it doesn't work. So it's like Apple with their connectors and stuff that, everybody using USB, well, we're going to use FireWire, and where everybody's using whatever, we're going to use Thunderbolt, and the iPhone's going to have the Lightning connector. Nobody else has this. It's our own system. Yeah, it only works for Apple, but it pisses off everybody else. So, what can we do? Well, there's nothing I can do, but somebody who can do something is the Blender Foundation. What they could do is to implement ACES properly in Blender. Why? Because ACES is developed just for that, to make sure that it works on every system. Everybody just uses ACES everywhere and it's going to work. Everybody will have the same thing on screen. This is what it's for. So, Blender, if you want to play in the big leagues, if you want to play with the cool guys, you need to implement ACES properly. Not the hack we're using right now. I mean, done properly by the foundation, clean, working everywhere. Please do this. And now I'm a little bit cranky right now. So maybe it's time for me to just relax and just decompress. So I'm going to go meditate right now just to calm down a little bit.